Gezi, congratulations. Off and running in Bahrain wasn't your best. How would you assess it?
Yeah, I haven't thrown a dart for many times since obviously I lost in the Worlds, and it showed. I've had a week's holiday. I did take a travel board with me, but it didn't go on the wall. But yeah, probably should have had a practice.
Look, how is confidence after the Worlds? Because it was obviously a disappointing defeat. Is this now a good chance to bounce back with these two World Series events?
Yeah, I mean, try out something different today and next week, and see how things go. But the main priority is the Masters at the end of January, and then looking forward to the Premier League. But yeah, these are good prep, and I give it 100%. But I need to put a little bit more practice in now over the next couple of weeks.
Can you put your finger on what didn't happen at the World Championships? Because up until then, you'd been in good form, played okay in round one, but then just didn't quite happen for you.
Yeah, just one of them games, one of them days, and sometimes you just take it on the chin. Unfortunate for me that it was in the World Championship. It can happen at any time, and yeah, for me it's a wrong timing. But fair play. The kid played well against me, but I've moved on from that and look forward to 2026.
Yeah, are you expecting a big year from yourself? Because you were almost there in 2025. We almost saw great things without quite getting there. So is this the year that you rediscover that TV winning form?
Yeah, fingers crossed. I know how well I was playing last season. I'd done really well on the Pro Tours and Europeans, but I just need to back it up and start doing it on TV now. But yeah, it's a new year, and I'm looking forward to it. And fingers crossed, can be a bit better than last year.
Cheers, guys, and congratulations.
No worries.
Hello, Gerwyn. Well done on that victory. Do these two World Series events, even though they're important to win because there's a lot of prize money at stake, do they almost feel like a pre-season tournament leading up to when the main tour kicks in?
Yeah, obviously we're all here to win, and every tournament I play in, I want to win. But I tinkered with my darts today as well. I put in some shorter points, and I probably should have done that after I'd had a practice because I haven't been on the board for about 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. But yeah, win's a win. I'll get on the board, put my travel board up tonight, have a good practice ready for tomorrow.
Next up, it's either Luke Littler or Paul Lim, and we know that you always have amazing games with Luke Littler, but what would it mean if you was to play Paul Lim, a legend of the game?
Yeah, I think I've played Paul once before, but it'd be nice to play him again. You never know how many more years he's going to keep playing. But yeah, to play a legend like that anytime, that'd be nice. But yeah, I'd rather play Luke.
And we heard at the start of the broadcast that in a few days' time in Saudi Arabia, there's a big prize on offer, 100,000 if you hit a nine-darter, then a further 100,000 if you hit the bullseye straight after that. How amazing will that be to have a huge prize on show for a nine-darter, especially with you being so prolific at hitting the perfect leg?
Yeah, that'd be great. Once you hit a nine data, and you get an opportunity to win, another 100,000 on top. So yeah, it'd be great. But I'm sure they get a million in snooker, so I think they need to up it a bit.
Thank you, Gezi. Well done today.
Right.
Going, congratulations on the win. You mentioned there tinkering with the shorter points. Is that something we know you did it before, you did it before the Premier League final. In terms of experimenting, is that reactionary to the way you went out of the World Championship, or is that something you've been thinking about doing?
Well, actually, in the World Championship, my first game I used the short points, and my second game I went back to my long points. So I was in the middle, I didn't know what to do. But the points I'm using are what I've used right up until the beginning of 2025. Last season I went into longer points and stuck with them. But all the years previous to that, when I was world champion, won the Grand Slam, is the points that I'm using now, the shorter ones. So if I stick with them and put a bit of practice in, I'm sure they'll do all right.
So do you think the confidence in your setup is something that you were missing maybe a little bit towards the back end of last year and towards the end of tournaments?
No, I just think sometimes you just don't perform in games, and that's what happened to me in the World Championship, and you just have to forget about that, move on, and look forward to 26.
And one final one from me. We talked a lot about the crowd being on your side and whatnot at the World Championships. What was the crowd like in there? It didn't look like there was too much going on. And what was it like playing in that sort of atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, when I started it in a couple of trebles and eventually it in a 180 or 140, the crowd were getting involved. But yeah, when the game isn't very good, it's hard for them to get involved, but I'm sure they'll get a bit more lively.
Well played. Best of luck.
Always.
Evening, Gerwyn. Congratulations on your win today. Just want to quickly take you back to the World Championship. I think it was in the final set when the Ali Pali crowd actually began to boo Wesley Plaisier and ended up cheering your name. This wasn't something many darts fans have seen too regularly, and it looked like you appreciated it at the time. Can you just take me back to that moment and just explain what was going through your head and how that felt?
To be honest, with you, I can't even remember it, and I probably forgot the World Championship. And for me, is not even looking back on that. Is probably moving forward and looking forward to 2026. But yeah, if that's what you heard and what you've seen, then maybe it was, but I don't recall that.
Fair enough. And just moving forward as well, can you just tell me what your reaction was to being included in the Premier League and how happy you were to be involved in it again this year?
Yeah, I look forward to playing in the Premier League now more than ever. Last season I wanted to play in it more than any other season that I have played in it. I'm probably the same this year. I'm really looking forward to it. I think I deserve it, and yeah, I'll give it 100%.
Of course. And just in the World Championships, well, Gary Anderson said he keeps on thinking about his match with Luke Littler. I think it was in the Grand Slam when he had many opportunities to win. You obviously had a really, really tight match with Luke Littler last year. Again, I think that was in the World Grand Prix, I believe. Do you sort of look back on that game as well? And does it give you more motivation in case there are more meetings, not just in Bahrain, but ahead throughout this year?
Yeah, I think the Grand Prix, I was 2 sets up, or 2-1 up and 2 legs up. And it was probably a game that I should have won, could have won, but I didn't. And yeah, I don't really dwell on games like that. I don't really look back on them. For me, I just look back on games that give me a lot of confidence. I've been reviewing games back to when I were using my old setup, when I played Peter Wright in the Grand Slam final and Michael in the semi-final. And I just look back on games that give me a boost of confidence rather than ones that, yeah, could have been a little bit different.
And just one final one for me as well. Again, in the World Championships, Michael van Gerwen said this year was going to be a new Michael van Gerwen, perhaps something different. Have you ever had like a year in darts where you've gone, this is going to be a new Gerwyn Price, or maybe you're going to do something different? What do you think?
Not really. I mean, apart from a different setup, I am where I am. I don't think I'll ever change. Apart from performances and the way I play, I can't control that, but I'd never change in person.
Sure. Thank you very much, Gerwyn. All the best for the rest of the tournament.
Cheers, man.